Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to Spring Tournament 2020 for the Final Fantasy Randomizer. This is Week 6, which is Chaos Week, which means we will have 3 loose key incentive items, as well as the canal being loose somewhere. And we will be getting the runners started in just a second. Joining me today for this match between Greggly Puff and Cinema Bee is Melee Wizard. Melee, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. And if memory serves, this match does have quite a bit on the line here. Both of our runners are 2 and 3, and so the winner will be into the loveliness that is the last chance qualifier.
Yes, that is correct. And the last chance qualifier is a race of, I think it's going to be about 20 people if everybody shows up for one spot in the mass race for the play-in. And then that one it's about 40 to 50% of the people make it into the brackets. So it's one last chance to keep moving forward but first they have to win this week, so we'll see how it goes. And I'm going to get the runners started, and we will be getting going here.
And we have an interesting party breakdown. This was a draft. I was not around for the actual draft, so I don't know who picked what. But there's a chance we might be a bit magic starved. We've got fighter. It's almost like the anti-rainbow. We got fighter, black belt, thief, and then a red mage.
Yeah, it was a draft, and they rolled d20s to see who would start. They both tied with a 14 at first, and then Greggly Puff rolled a natural 1 and to get the second spot. So Cinema Bee chose the red mage, Greggly took black belt thief, and Cinema Bee said, I really want that fighter. So they went 3 melee and one mage.
So, depending on how the magic shakes out, that could determine how our runners decide they want to go about the end game.
Yeah, I can see. I think going into this, I would damn that black belt and go fighter, thief, red mage until I found a decent grind tile where I could get some good experience, and then bring the black belt back and rely on the black belt, or else if I don't ever find a good grind tile, I've at least got fighter, thief at decent levels.
And it also kind of depends on where the good swords are. Because if you're stuck with like flame sword or ice sword, that might suck. And we got, I think the only, we got Bane and black magic. That's okay. And I think we saw Wall in level 1 white magic, but that's what Red Wizard locked.
Yeah, so the only one that's semi-useful out of white magic is that Fog 2, but most people will skip it anyways.
Yeah, it does have its uses, but you'd rather try to dodge hits than try to reduce the damage.
Yeah, exactly, and I think I would be probably gonna see them wait and get that if it's really bad magic going forward, where once they get promoted, they're gonna want Wall.
Yeah. It helps that there's really isn't much in black magic either, so you're not really... it's not really a hard decision to make. Like, if there was, like, Nuke Fast and Temper at level 1, you might have to think about it a bit, but with the best thing being Bane, Yeah, it looks like the creeps are giving Cinema Bee the business, taking out a couple party members already.
Oh yeah, look at that. And Cinema Bee did grab a tent, so heading right up to Temple of Fiends, gonna check out those chests. I wouldn't be too surprised if Greggly decided to go take on the pirates, because Bane can do some work against pirates, and you've got 3 melees, but we'll see what he does.
And... oof. Yeah, these creeps are hitting pretty hard for this early game. When you don't have armor or levels or anything, but a mage staff will help.
Yeah, they've got a sweeper.
Free fire too. We'll take it.
Alright, and Gregory Puff decides to go up to the Temple of Fiends as well. For a second, I was really confused and thought that Cinema had wiped out and had to go all the way back to town, but it was just Gregory following in his footsteps.
Alright, so let's see if we can... how quickly we can take down Garland here. He missed the first hit. Not the second one, though. The Bane didn't work.
Yeah, and that's the only problem with having only one tent, is now Cinema's got to go back in and get that mage staff again.
The one thing that really hurts for Cinema Bee is that really out of this 4, really the only one, as far as trying to get away from fights, the only one that's really worth much is the Thief. And the Thief is already down on Cinema Bee's side, so you're just trying to get away from fights is not the easiest thing.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah, but Gregory Puff is able to take down Garland, and first thing we get is the bottle and the floater.
Ooh, that makes it spicy, so now they just need a canoe to get into the air.
Yeah. And Cinema Bee was able to poison smoke Garland as well, but isn't out of the woods yet. Okay. 2 more tiles. Okay.
And that was good work by Cinema Bee. It took a little bit longer than you'd like to take out Garland, but kept at it. Found the right turn order and was able to get Garland down.
Also, finally getting the Bane to go off, because the first go around, if the Bane wasn't working, but I saw sharks with trance. That's lovely, because we'll be seeing them again for a bit in Sea Shrine. Yeah, Gregory Puff making a beeline for the pirates between Bane and the Mage Staff. This is a non-issue.
Yep, and Cinema Bee finding more and more sharks as we go.
There's the TNT.
It's always nice to find those inner sea turn-in items while you're on your way around.
I saw the chime in the shop, and I saw Inf 2 and Cure 4. And I saw Fire 2, and that was about the only thing halfway decent on the Black Magic side.
Ruse could come in handy on that night as well. It's just the same as using a defense sword.
Yeah. But Cure 4 is a huge find.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, that chime is there. 14,000 is not too bad of a price. We'll see if they decide to go and do a pop grind, or I would imagine they'll go over to dwarves. They have the TNT, they can turn that in. Maybe you get the key, and then you can open a bunch of chests to look for some gold.
Oh, I didn't see Cinema Bee side. Apparently I think it was probably mostly because most of Cinema Bee's party still was level 1, so that the pirates were able to take down the fighter.
Gregory deciding to go turn in his TNT right away before going to Matoya's could save him some time, especially if TNT ends up being the crystal.
Yeah, then we have seen progression in those 3 chests in Matoya's cave, so we'll have to see what that leads to, if anything.
Yeah, and I guess it kind of depends on what he's looking to do. Oh, he resets out of that fight. Probably saw a little bit too much trance from those sharks.
Yeah, I think I saw trance. I saw lit as well, which is still kind of dangerous in these early levels.
And Gregley is pretty well known for buying as many tents as possible, so he's going to be using encounter manipulation quite a bit on the sea, I would imagine.
Given what we've seen, that's probably not a bad idea. Looks like it's a decent run after a power cycle, too. Alright. Meanwhile, Cinema Bee is taking a stop at Matoya's cave. Let's see what we've get. Opal Gauntlet, Saber, and the Canal!
That could be a big thing. I can't imagine that Gregley will put off Matoya's for too long, but if he decided to go Marsh before going to Matoya's, you could lose a lot of time digging for that canal, but
Well,
Cinema knows where he's got to go.
Oh, there's the herb. There is still the chance that we could find the canoe sooner rather than later. So if Grigglypuff finds the canoe before having to, say, dig marsh or something, it probably wouldn't hurt him too bad. Spending a moment for the obligatory dwarven celebration.
And that opal gauntlet could be worth quite a bit of money if they decide to sell it. You'll find another one throughout the game, and really, usually you'll get power gauntlet anyway, so you won't be using it, so it can be really good to sell early.
I mean, they'd probably prefer using pro rings instead anyway.
Yeah, that is true as well, because opal gauntlet gives you resistance. I believe it still gives you resistance to lightning magic, but
I saw toxic from something on Grigglypuff's side.
Yuck, the sea is gonna be trolly today.
No, it wasn't on the sea. It was somewhere in the ogre creep encounter.
Oh, that's even more fun.
Alright, so what does the herb turn into? There's the canoe! We're airborne!
Yeah, so I did tell them the last time I rolled a seed, it was a jet seed in the beginning, and it was nasty at the end, because something like lobsters had, like, poison touch and stone poison, so we'll see what ends up happening here.
Oof. Level 3. White magic didn't have much.
Yeah,
Black
you can
magic. No, quad X, that's alright.
You can learn the Cure 2 on that red mage, but you won't be able to learn Heal 2 on any of the characters.
You're not checking the level 4 magic. Probably not the worst idea, because you won't be able to actually get much out of there anyway at this point.
Yeah, I think Gregley is pretty strapped for money right now, so he's gonna probably take as many free chests as he can to try and build up some reserves and find, hopefully, some more sweeper spells that are better than Fire 2 and Lightning 2.
Of course. Kill off all but one and then run away. Isn't that how it always is? But at about 11:36, Grigglypuff is in the air.
Yeah, and that opens up at least 3 incentive items right away with the Sages here in Crescent. Being able to access Sarda and having the bottle already, that's 3 of them which you don't have any encounter steps to get to. So that's really nice once you get in the air here.
Yeah, and I saw level 6 magic didn't have much. Did have Quake, which some people are probably going to be upset that if neither of our runners pick it up. But we do have the Rod at the Circle of Sages. Jigglypuff making the initial rounds with the airship, stopping off at Sarda for another free item.
Yeah, and as Jonathan Yoshish points out, Cinema did reset out of that TNT the first time. Could be nerves here. Like we said in the beginning, it is a match to see who can get into that last chance qualifier.
And it's like, you think you see everything, and then you see, like, Toxic or something, and then it's just not something you expect. And the first trap tile in the Hall of Giants are ghosts. Not the friendliest encounter to try to grind, but hey, it's worth checking, I guess.
Yeah, and I think Gregley reset out because Bane doesn't work on dead or undead, so he just wanted to save the spell charge and get that Fire 2 out. But they look like they're hitting pretty hard tonight.
Well, they typically do. Not getting good turn order, but he's gonna keep trying. I'm presuming if he didn't have at least some sort of fire spell, that he probably wouldn't even been trying that.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Looks like he might. Yeah, he might be looking for turn order on these ghosts.
Because not many people know, but there's actually 2 different trap tiles in the Hall of Giants. But you have to get through one to get to the other. And that might be what Jigglypuff was trying to do, to scout out the second trap tile, is just the ghosts are stonewalling in there.
Yeah, and Gregley is used to running black belts, so he's going to look for grind tiles early and often. He's got a couple key incentive items, so he's got the experience bonus already. So I'm thinking that if he can find something that's easy to kill, he's going to take it and get at least a few levels on that black belt.
Ooh, Fade to level 4. I don't know if that's learnable or not. Nope, it doesn't look like it.
That will be learnable on class change.
Ooh, wow.
But
and fast at 4 as well, and temper.
Yeah, now you've got to decide if you want to wait for Fade or pick up Fire 3, but you're going to want that fast and temper, and the Knight can't learn Fade either.
Ouch. Question in chat. We already know where the chime is. That is actually the vendor item in Provoca. I think it was for about 14k, 13, 14.
Yeah, it was 14, somewhere between 14 and 17,000. So we do know where the chime is, but it's pretty expensive, and I think right now neither one's going to be too worried about getting that until they get a couple levels.
Yeah. This is nice to know that it's there. One thing we won't have to search high and low for.
Gregley did find the mummies. At least they have under 100 health, so that's going to be good going forward, because you see mummies quite often throughout the game.
Ooh, the Green Ogres have Mute, which is kind of bad, because that also prevents you from using the spell items, if memory serves.
Yes, yeah, it does. It'll stop you from that mage staff as well.
If you can get good turn order, it can at least knock out most of these ghosts. And I was proven wrong, because it only took out 2 of the 5. But that did it.
Yeah, and that's 2,500 experience at this point. That's quite a good haul, and level 9 on everybody, so moving forward, he's going to at least have some levels and can see if what that next trap tile is if he wants to.
Oh, he's just going to take the 1 and leave. Yeah, saw his spell charges wasn't much to speak of, although they only got a bunch of them just then and there.
Yeah, he just picked up, I think, 4 levels off that one fight, so we'll see if he's content with what he's got and gonna just keep checking some incentives or where he's gonna go from here.
Yeah, we do have the Cardia Isles to root through. We can check the incentive location at Gaia. And Matoya's also got something for us.
Yeah, and Cinema B getting in the air just a couple minutes behind Gregley, and it's felt like quite a while, but Gregley's really spent most of the time in Earth Cave, so
Yeah.
Cinema's not too far behind. Gregley's got a little bit of a level lead with finally taking out one of those ghost fights.
Ooh, and I see there's gold bracelets for sale at Crescent Lake, and there's at the Adamant at Matoya.
Yeah, and those are cheap gold bracelets, so we will probably be seeing them go back and get those gold bracelets at some point.
And what does the blacksmith have? Well, there's more opal. The first of our non-key items, the opal bracelet. The other two being the power gauntlet, which our runners will really want to see, and the Thor hammer, not so much.
Yeah, and you see some of the challenges of getting the floater really early are having to decide where to go when the entire world is open to you. So Gregley looks like he's trying to decide what he wants to do next.
Well, the thing is, Grizzly Pup never checked the other shops in Elfland. Never checked the armor shop, never checked level 4 magic. We'll see that fade. We'll probably want that at some point. We'll see the fast and the temper, and we'll want that, like, now.
Yep, so now he's doing the calculation in his head. Looks like he wants the Fire 3 over Fade, which is I think that's a good choice, because it's cheap, and you get the damage now, and it's not that much of a loss compared to Fade.
And by the time, with the party we've got, by the time our runs get to Topher, probably won't be relying on damage spells that much anyway. And Cinema B finds the crown in the Gaia. One thing that was Brent mentioned in chat, with the fact that we have a black belt and the possibility of a black belt grind, it may be a while before we actually see the promotion, which whether or not we see the tail anytime soon.
Yeah, and that is the biggest decision they'll have to make if they find tail early, is whether they want to lean on the black belt or lean on the fighter and the thief, because fighter and thief only get better with promotion, and the black belt loses magic defense growth, and so it can really hamper your chances of keeping your black belt alive.
Yeah, it really depends on where you place your priorities. And Gregley Puff is making a beeline for Northwest Castle, and well, we're about to see that thought process right now because we got the tail already.
Yeah, and Gregley Puff is known as a black belt master. He's someone who's really honed his skills. Cinema B is a little bit newer, and I'm not sure how confident he is with his black belt strategies, so we might see him get the tail and decide to promote right away and just use that black belt as a meat shield in the future, and, you know, just someone to take some hits as they go.
Gregley Puff is making a stop at the Cardia Isles. We'll at least grab the treasure that's here.
And I like what Gregory is doing there. He knows that the enemies in this area can give you quite a bit of experience. So he searched out a fight and threw out Quad X right away to see if this Manticore has 300 or less health.
Oh, he's not even checking the Cardia chest. He was just there for the encounter, I guess. So at this point, I believe we're still looking for our 3 loose items are still unaccounted for, right? The canal not counting towards that.
Yeah, that is correct. There are still 3 items loose around the world for them to find, so could be really early, could be a loose loot, which could be pretty much anywhere except for the Temple of Fiends.
Really? The key is almost the same way.
Yeah, that is true. Both of those are pretty much a nightmare if they're loose, and if both of them are loose somewhere, it could take a while to dig them out.
And the only quote-unquote fetch chainy items we have left are the ruby and the slab.
Yeah, and then the ruby could have been, but they already have access to Sarda, so yeah, you're right. Pretty much the only ones that are fetch chains is the slab that's out there.
Well, I mean, there is still the incentive item in Titan's Trove, so you would need the ruby for that.
Yep, yeah, that's right. Cinema was in the hall to go and get class change, but it looks like maybe he decided not to.
Yeah, might be thinking about doing something black belt related at some point. That maybe doesn't want to commit either way just yet. And, Gregory Puff is going back to the ghosts.
Yeah, and he did leave that poison on his fighter, so it would just take away a little bit of health as he walked around and get closer to 2-man to get this grind going.
And, Cinema Bee is cleaning out Cardia. The best thing I've seen from that so far was an ice sword, which is an improvement, but still probably not necessarily what we're looking for.
Yeah, with 3 loose items, you can almost assume that you'll find a better sword throughout, but ice sword within the first 20-25 minutes is always a nice comfort weapon to have, because you don't want to be running around with a saber or a rapier for too long.
Or in Gregory Puff's case, a small dagger, I think it was.
Yeah, I've tried to use that going through Volcano, and it did not turn out well, so it's really good just to not deal with the daggers if you don't have to.
Although, looks like Cardia came up dry. And Gregory Puff is moving on, going 2-man. And level 5 magic. I saw Harm 4.
Tier 3 was on top there. That'll be Red Mage learnable. That Brack is Red Mage learnable, and Lightning 3. So that's pretty decent setup for just a Red Mage.
There was also Lock 2, which I think that was on the warp spot, which would be promotion locked.
Yes, I think you're right that it would be promotion locked. It'll be interesting to see if he picks it up.
Cinema Bee checking trap tiles in Earth Cave as well, seeing this ghost encounter. We'll see. Oh, checking the second one, and it's Lesser Undead. Grigglypuff is making the volcano play.
Yeah, he took those ghosts enough to get just whatever levels he was looking for. I think he's probably around 15 or so, and then now he's gonna be. There's quite a few in volcano here that you can check really easily.
Our fire trap tile is a group of asps. Not much to speak of. Good quick 1000 XP though.
Cinema Bee deciding to go and see what's in Marsh Cave. It's not a bad play if you've got decent levels. You can make your way through pretty quickly. Oh, maybe he's deciding not to. That's the problem again with these jet seeds is you can get yourself so worked up about where you want to go that it's hard to make a decision.
Yeah, when you can be paralyzed with indecision. Turns out the treasure really doesn't seem to be worth keeping at the moment.
Yeah, and here again, the experience on Gregley's side might be showing just because he's making decisions just a little bit quicker, and Cinema Bee's still not far behind at all. Going to get that chime, which is a good call. We'll see if maybe Cinema Bee decides to go and dig out Sky. There's a lot of chests that you can get to and good experience, but you have to be a little bit willing to take a chance if you're going to go there at low levels.
Yeah, because those enemies just don't mess around. Even if they don't have nasty abilities, they could just hit you hard. Looks like Cinema Bee is making the volcano play as well. Going for chest density, I guess. And enemies aren't quite as bad as the ones in Mirage. Ooh, there's a pro ring.
Free pro ring is nice. Opal shield is really good. That'll come in handy for your fighter. And a mass beam.
There's the thing. There's the thing. Oh, ow. That is not a trap tile you want to see.
No, especially not an unrunnable 4 red Ankylos.
It did go down to one set of massive swings, though. Those red Ankylos rolled low.
Yeah, and that's actually 5,000 experience. Not what you want to see out of 4 enemies, but it was better than I was expecting, so...
I'm sure we were both expecting them to die. But holy cow, that fight went better than anyone probably could have hoped for.
Yeah, and Peds have quite a bit of health, because that was a 250 on one, and it didn't seem to phase it too much.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure he checked the chest, didn't he? I don't think it was much.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I'd imagine Cinema Bee will check that chest, so we will find out if it was something important.
He'll see the trap tile, and we'll see whether he decides he wants to try. Oh, uh-oh. Perilous with Blaze. That's not good.
Yeah,
No exit, no warp means you're gonna have to go grab that masa again if you want it.
Paralisks are a thing of nightmares from the vanilla game, and still one of those enemies that you nuke on sight.
Though honestly, a lot of enemies that normally have like your nasty abilities, like cockatrices, paralisks, sorcerers, they're often not as bad in randomizer just because the nasty things that normally have, they don't usually have. But it's definitely for those of us that are familiar with the vanilla game, you still just kind of have that little eye twitch whenever you see that pack of sorcerers sometimes.
Yeah, and Gregory goes back in, checks just what he needs, so if he didn't check that chest and it's something important, it could be a really bad thing for the rest of the game.
Alright, so Wigglypuff taking that Mass Immune, what's he gonna do with it? Gonna buy more houses. Thankfully, Cinema Bee was able to get past those perilous. Didn't see the nasty things they have.
Yeah, Gregory's gonna go see if he's got an open world grind, find some more unrunnable red ankylos, and decides to get out of there.
Or if that was the first encounter on the, I think he's, or maybe he's not finding his grind. Okay, I thought he was gonna grind for those.
There are 4 different encounter zones around the desert here. So there's 4 different chances to find tyros or sandwiches like this one.
Yeah, less work for a bit it's a bit more efficient for sure. Yeah, comment in chat about trying to keep everyone's party's experience equal. Guilty.
Yeah, that was me too.
Goodness knows, to some extent I still try to do it, but in randomizers, other things kind of take priority sometimes. But when playing like non-randomizer stuff, yeah, I'll still try to do that.
Cinema Bee finds these red ankylos. Gonna take a second to think about just how much he wants to check that chest.
That's one down. Oh, they have Stun Touch, and he sees that they don't have that much for health.
Gregory going to Sky. He's gonna go see what Mirage Tower has for him.
Alright, Sin will be able to take down those red ankylos. And what does this chest have? Just a little bit of money. While Wigglypuff finds our first loose, the Oxyale in Mirage 1, and a ribbon on top of it.
Yeah, Mirage 1 is definitely the place to go and check, because that is 2 items that you need to finish the game pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Oh, bit unfortunate for Cinema B. He's finding the Mass Moon after doing that, after doing the red Ankylos.
Yeah, that would have made that fight a whole lot easier. Might have kept his fighter alive, but at least he's got it, and now we'll see if Cinema B wants to rely on that black belt or maybe go and promote and go with a fighter for his main DPS.
Yeah, he's definitely walking this out. He definitely doesn't. He definitely wants to save getting that sword.
Very careful to stay on those lava tiles so he doesn't get any encounters. So just wanted to make sure he didn't fight anything else on the way out either.
Grigglypuff making the ordeals play.
It's a good choice here. He doesn't have warp or exit yet, but knows that he can always get out of the castle and find his way through. Plus, there's a couple of nice spike tiles to be able to check along the way.
And without warp, getting through this pillar maze can be a bit annoying at times. Case in point.
Yeah, and Long Road Gaming asking in the chat of whether it hurts the black belt to class advance, and as LCB said, the magic defense goes from 4 points down to 1, which it pretty much kills off your chances of having that black belt be a tanking machine, because you need that magic defense going in. You don't necessarily want to put armor on your black belt because they gain 1 absorb for every level, so around level 32 they're just as good as if you had a gold bracelet, a pro ring, and a ribbon on them. Cinema B deciding to go and check ordeals as well, so we will see these runners pretty much holding hands for a little while here.
Yeah. Although I'm trying to remember, where was the TNT?
That was pretty early. Let's see. Vicky had the TNT, so I do believe that Cinema B has turned that in, actually.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Cinema B had turned in the crystal as well.
Yes, yep, I think you're right, because that was the opal bracelet, which he does have.
Yeah. Just trying to think of what our runners have done and not done, I guess.
Yeah, Gregley really has a level advantage, and that Oxyel could be huge, because that opens up Sea Shrine for him, but in terms of exploration, other than Mirage 1, Cinema B and Gregley are pretty equal.
If Cinema B hadn't gone into Volcano to get that massa, we'd be... So Grigglypuff would have an even bigger advantage.
Yeah, that is for sure. That massa could be a great equalizer. It's gonna help both of them for sure, but it's right around level 22 or 23. Somewhere in there is when the black belt becomes stronger without the massa than with it, because you get double strikes or double hits by being barehanded for that black belt, but it really helps to speed up your early game.
Yeah. Yeah, I figure at some point Grigglypuff's probably gonna move that massa down to the red mage, and we'll see We'll see how much you actually use the red mage for swinging as opposed to fire 2, fire 3 stuff. Oh, there's a pro cape. As far as defense is concerned, that's pretty much a fully kitted out red mage there.
Yeah, there's not much better you can get, and level 19 already on that black belt and red mage, so good levels. He's gonna be going up even quicker with those two, just a two-man party, so really moving forward, and he gets the cube.
So that is all 4 of our Fiend dungeons available now.
And still 2 loose items, so it could be the dream team of the loose loot and the loose key out there for them.
I don't think that's possible anymore since we're still missing the slab and the ruby.
Oh yeah, you probably are correct. Although, yeah,
Well, I mean,
Power Gauntlet and the Thor's Hammer should be out there too. So
True.
So
Yeah, I
let's
didn't think
see.
about that part.
Yeah, I always forget about the extra incentive items because I'm so fixated on the go mode ones usually that it can really come back to bite you if you forget about those things.
And just from our perspective, we don't see those on the tracker, so sometimes it's a bit of out of sight, out of mind. And question in chat, have they checked Waterfall? Not yet.
Yeah, they still haven't gone into Ice Cave or Waterfall. I'm thinking that Greggly Puff, especially with that Oxyel, probably gonna do Waterfall and Sea Shrine right here.
Yeah. It makes sense since he can clear out both right here and now. And with Masa and the levels he's got, he can actually has a half decent chance of surviving.
Yeah, and the enemies in Waterfall, especially at level 19, 20, is a really good walking grind, and it's not too dangerous typically.
Goodness knows with the mummy packs, they have enough literal firepower to be able to take them down without too much trouble.
Cinema B doing a check of the key items that he has, knows that he's got that cube and the chime already, so could be looking to go to Sky. I'll be interested to see if he goes to Waterfall, because he hasn't found that loose Oxyel in Mirage Tower yet.
Ah, yeah, that's true. Though, if he goes to Mirage, even if he finds the Oxyel, I'd wonder if he decided to stay there and clear Sky out.
Yeah, I think once you decide to go there, you usually will stay and try to clear it out, especially finding that on Mirage 1. You typically want to just walk out, save the game after Mirage 1 anyways, and then go back in. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see just where he decides to go.
Quad X isn't enough for Gas Dragon straight up. Looks like he rolled at least about 600 health. It was about 600, yeah.
And that's a really good trade-off. Taking the Mass Mune off from his black belt will make it a little bit weaker at this point, but putting it onto that red mage means that you can swing away with 2 people and do really good melee damage.
Yeah. I think the net damage is going to be improved by doing that at this point. Well, there's a katana, and there's the ruby. And it looks like we're finally getting our first promotion from Cinema B's side.
Yeah, and that katana with a mass mune means that once Gregley hits probably 32 is where I would guess he's going on black belt. If it's early enough, he's probably going to class change and bring that thief and fighter back so he can have decent swords for them to swing and they can take a lot of damage for him.
Oh boy, Mudgalls have glance. The red mage has a ribbon, so likely won't happen, but the black belt is a statue, but he does have soft potions.
Yeah, really good to have a mass mune and a ribbon on that red mage right now.
And of course, these Mudgalls are unrunnable too.
Cinema V did go and promote, so he's got the mass mune. He's gonna bring his party up and rely on that ninja and that fighter for the endgame damage, or that knight. And checking out level 5 magic, which for Red Wizard, it's the first and second slot in white magic, and then the top and bottom spot, and I believe it's that second one. Yeah, it's the second spot for black magic that the Red Wizard gains access to.
Yeah, Lock 2 is not a bad find. It can definitely help in Topher if the bosses decide they don't want to get hit. Doesn't matter how many punches your black belt's throwing if they all miss.
I like what Cinema B is doing here. Go ahead and getting all of the magic right away so that he doesn't have to worry about it later. Plus, you're going to be able to use it going through and make your party just that much stronger when you can promote in less than an hour and you know you've got all 4 Fiend dungeons ahead of you. You might as well get that magic.
Not to mention having 2 sources of fast and temper is not a bad thing. So Cinema B did hold off on getting Fire 3, did invest in the tail lock fade on the white Red Wizard.
Yeah, and it hasn't really hurt him to not have the Fire 3, so it will turn out to be a net positive. It's kind of a toss-up at that point, but if you're planning on going with a fighter or a knight and a thief, then you might as well wait for that fade.
Greg the Puff is deciding not to do the Sea Shrine play just yet. Looks like he's good. Thought I was going to go to Sarda until I realized, oh wait, I already went there.
Yeah, it's been about 25 minutes since he went and saw Sarda, so he may have forgotten for a second if he had gone there or not.
Bracelet, money, heal staff, and there's the key. We're down to 1. We're basically in loot mode. And as mentioned, that loot could pretty much be anywhere outside of Topher.
Yeah, the real advantage of the key is it opens up a lot of free chests for you to check. And obviously you need it for the end of the game because they decided to lock some of the doors in the Temple of Fiends with that Mystic Key.
Well, the thing is, the loot's not necessarily loose. We still don't know what the item is in Ice Cave. Could be slab, could be loot, could still be Power Gauntlet or Thor Hammer. We don't know yet.
Yeah, I would guess that Gregley is going to work his way over to the ice cave, check the key locks on the way, and then you know whether you need to dive into mermaids in the sea shrine, because going to mermaids while it doesn't take too long, if you can skip it altogether, it makes life a whole lot easier.
So it had some rock galls on one of the trap tiles at Northwest. That's not a bad trap tile to get, especially since Greggly Puff's able to one-shot them. But he's deciding to move on.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think those rock balls are the best that we've seen so far, but there are quite a few trap tiles in Ice Cave, and so Greggly might be just deciding to keep moving forward, and he can always take that grind along the way, or come back if he needs to later.
Oof, and that's it. Cinema B taking that Red Kilo fight, and then forgetting to check the chest that was guarding. Alright, nothing worthwhile in the dwarf key locked. Now we're checking Temple of Fiends key locked. And the trap tile goes, ooh.
Greg does like a double fighter tile, so we might see him stay here for a little while.
Oh my. He's rearranging. And removed all the gear from the red mage. I think plans are afoot.
Yep, and these having Blizzard on this this encounter is gonna help him get rid of that red mage pretty quickly.
Didn't even see what had the Blizzard in the first place.
Cinema B is making pretty quick work of this volcano. Ooh, he's got mud galls and rock galls there on the Agama tiles too, so unrunnable isn't nice to see. We know that those mud galls have plants, which they just used on him.
Yep, and we got ourselves a grind here. Just waiting for those fighters to take out the red mage.
Just showing off his equipment, show the fighters, and kind of tempt them with it so they can see what he's got.
There we go. Grind commence.
Yeah, and this is a really pretty safe grind. 13,000 experience per fight is gonna do Greggly wonders.
Oh yes. Very, very much yes. Now it's just a matter of with a tile like this, how high do you go?
We could see him go 32, but maybe he only goes like 30 or 31 and figures that he'll pick up the rest along the way and then just bring everybody else back to start getting levels on and HP on everybody else, but we'll see what he decides to do.
Well, I mean, for the fighter and thief, they got taken out so early that I'd be wondering if they'd even survive long enough to even get levels in the first place.
Yeah, and I don't think we've seen any of the life spells yet, so
no,
they're not as useful if you're not able to bring them back.
I mean, I could see bringing up the thief as a ninja for potential fast casts or something, but yeah. The knight at this point, at least especially magic-wise, wouldn't really be accomplishing much. And Wigglypuff has hit 32 and is continuing on. You know, Cinema Bee has reached the last floor of Volcano, gets a cabin out of the Red Dragon chest.
Those 4 Agamas, I didn't see if they did anything to Cinema Bee, but those could have been a really good grind tile as well. That's 4 times as fast as the single Agamas from Vanilla.
Alright. It looks like we're about to get our first, assuming he gets out of this fight, get our first Fiend pull here from Cinema Bee's side. Although these red giants with cremate are not making life enjoyable.
Crigley deciding to make his life easy, moving that black belt to the first position so he doesn't even have to move the cursor once he's got the heal potions.
And Wigglypuff's at 38 and still going. Might be just going straight to 42, so he can just mow through everything in his path.
And Cinema Bee does pull carry, so he's going to throw out fast. That fighter's doing good damage already. 232 on just the regular unfasted hit with Mass Mune, but carry does have Stun Touch.
No, that was a hold spell that went off, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's even worse to see, but carry is hitting pretty hard there, so hopefully we can get him down pretty soon.
He's got some decent health, took a hit for 533 and stayed up. Uh-oh. But the Quad X hits!
Really good Quad X there from Cinema Bee. That's definitely a scary position to be in, and looks like he had Cure 4 available, so he could have used it. Probably going to use it here to make sure he gets out.
Yeah.
Got about 4 steps.
First step is an encounter. Okay. At a hair over 1 hour, Cinema Bee has lit our first orb. And at the same time, Wigglypuff has finished his grind. I did not see what level that was. Ah, he went straight to 42. Okay.
Yeah, so right at 1 hour, Cinema Bee lights our first orb, and Gregley decides that he's done grinding for the rest of the seed because he's got that 42 black belt. So should be an interesting finish out here. We still have to find that loot, and I'm sure Gregley will probably be going right to Ice Cave to make sure whether it's going to be loose or not.
And Wigglypuff did decide to bring back the fighter and thief. Wigglypuff is still checking keylock chests. I'm surprised he didn't check the chests in Corneria Castle if he's still checking keylock.
Yeah, he did look at his inventory before he was over in the ice cave area, so he might have forgotten that he had the key after all the grinding and then decided to go back and check these ones. Cinema Bee heading up to the waterfall doesn't know that Oxiel is loose in Mirage yet, so heading up there to see what's in the waterfall. He's not going to be able to do Sea Shrine right away, so we will see Cinema Bee heading back out after he gets the key out of the waterfall there. Oh no, not the key, it was the ruby. Thank you very much to Zodecahedron for doing the tracking tonight, so I can look at the notes and figure out my mistakes.
Yep, it was the ruby that led to the key. Oh dang, Frost Dragon right off the bat in Ice Cave. I don't think we don't see those very often on this floor.
No, that would be one of those encounter 8s, which, especially in the randomizer, it wasn't available for quite a while.
If you end up going into Ice Cave at low levels, that's definitely an encounter you don't necessarily want to see.
Yeah, Ice Cave is kind of one of those that a lot of people treat like Marsh, and they don't want to go there until they don't have to go anywhere else.
Unfortunately, since we don't have the warp spell, we're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way.
Cinema Bee is taking a little bit of time to think. We'll see, maybe.
I thought Cinema's stream was frozen for a second, but I still see the timer still going, so I'm not sure.
Yep, might have been an hour in and then time to take care of some nature.
Which, that can happen when...
There we go, Cinema's back. Takes out that gas dragon pretty easily. Nice to be promoted with a mass mune.
Yeah. The ninja getting glanced on Cinema B's side.
Finds out that he has no soft potions, which could be a problem with the mud gulls that we've seen in here.
There's an opal armor. Not bad armor for the night.
Yeah, it's tied with dragon armor in terms of absorb. It just doesn't have quite the same resistances, but still great find, something that's gonna keep you alive a whole lot longer. So I'm going to be picking up that katana, so that ninja is going to be a monster to deal with as well. So that's going to help him speed up a little bit once he finds a soft potion to bring that ninja back from stoned.
Ah, yes, of course. Outside of some decent armor, I don't think we've seen much of anything in ice so far.
No, that light axe would have come in handy before, but I don't think at this point it's going to help either runner very much, because they have enough levels and the mass mune is just too good to really spend too much time with a light axe.
And notice that Frost Dragon had some decent evade because the black belt only hit once. Once was enough, but that's still something you don't necessarily like to see.
Black Mages is asking if this was drafted, and yes, it was. Cinema B started out with picking the it was the red mage Cinema B started with. Gregley came back with a thief and black belt, and Cinema said that he wanted to take a fighter along, so that was how they decided on their party today.
And ooh, Cinema B just got bracked. I believe that was on the way out of the waterfalls. I believe he should still have his ruby.
Yeah, everything is just trying to stone him today, and luckily he got out of the waterfall and saved before he ran into these trolls that have brack.
Yeah. Yeah, the trolls being particularly trolly, keeping him from getting to on-rack, which may or may not have soft potions. We don't know yet.
Yeah, and
they do not. It does not.
Decided to take a tent on the way out. That was a good call, so that you definitely aren't going to run into that encounter again.
And, well, there's our last fetch quest item. It's the slab in Ice Cave.
So that just makes a little bit more time before we find out if Gregley's going to be in go mode or not. And Cinema B going up to turn in his ruby that he just found, so we will be seeing him get his key in just a second.
Yep, so if the slab turns into either the Thor Hammer or the Power Bunk, we've got an interesting search on our hands.
Yep, and we know that it's not in the volcano. Gregley doesn't know that yet, so that might be the first dungeon you go to. It's a pretty quick clear. You can turn over chests really quickly. The other ones, Mirage is always quick as well, and he's already checked floor 1. Or there's Sea Shrine, where you can go on Kraken's side, and if you find it on the way to Kraken, then you know that you don't have to check any chests that are out of the way.
And of course, there's Earth Cave.
Most people try not to talk about Earth Cave if they don't have to, though.
And not to mention, Marsh Cave.
That would be brutal, considering we saw Cinema B take about 5 steps into Marsh Cave and reset out. So, if it's in Marsh Cave, Cinema B could have had that other loose item quite a while ago.
And apparently there's something here in Titan's Cave that's given Cinema B the business, too. And it looks like Grigglypuff is making a beeline for Lefane. To see if we are in go mode or if the search is indeed on.
Cinema B goes to Canaria, which always has soft potions, so always good to know that you can find soft potions in at least one town for sure.
Yeah, I believe the soft potions are always in Corneria if we have the script shuffle on, I want to say.
Yes, yep, I think it's soft potions and pures, and Greg finds the loot from the slab, so we know that the Power Gauntlet and the Thor's Hammer are both loose, and the Oxio is loose in Mirage, so Gregley is in go mode.
Yeah, and as such, if we do find the Power Gauntlet or Thor Hammer, it will likely be Cinema B finding it unless he goes to Mirage, like right now.
Yeah, with 1 ribbon and a 42 black belt, you're sitting pretty good on Grigglypuff's side.
At this point, would you even bother? I think we already have our answer, but would you even bother doing a class change on if you're Grigglypuff at this point?
Probably not, unless you run into something. If you wipe out a Temple of Fiends, then you might go class change so that you can get more armor on that fighter and throw him up front.
Well, Cinema Bee is checking the Temple of Fiends chest. Sees that fighter tile. We'll see if Cinema Bee decides to do anything with it. Jigglypuff skipping past Mirage 2. Might not check another chest for the rest of the seed.
Yeah, Ilmar Supermiller was asking if there's any decent Red Wizard lock spells. The Fade was Red Wizard locked, and Wall was Red Wizard locked at level 1 as well.
Yep, and Fade was at 4, though Jigglypuff had already committed to that Red Mage to Fast Temper and Fire 3. And Cinema Bee decides not to take that grind tile.
Yeah, there are not a lot of things that want to stand in the way of a 42 black belt, so we'll see a lot of enemies running away here.
Yeah. And the ones that don't will likely be in a world of hurt. Nope, not even checking those 4 chests in Sky 3. He's just going.
It always feels really good when enemies like man-cats run away from you, because typically they're just a pain in large packs.
And they do have a skill list there. They did have Stare there, at least. Ooh, and even at 40 something, the glare still hits.
Yeah, that's a very low percentage shot to get through the magic defense on that black belt at this point. So
it only takes one.
That's true. Everybody's got a 3 and 256 story to tell of something that went through and it shouldn't have. Yeah, I see the Bless RNGs out there hoping for a War Mech. I don't think it would cause too much trouble to Gregley right now. It would really just help to buff up that Fighter and Thief.
Yeah, no doubt. Assuming the Fighter and Thief survive, because if the turn order would have been unkind, they could have gotten taken out pretty quickly. Like
Tiamat
2 damage poison, for example, but everyone survives.
Yeah, and Tiamat's got at least a little bit of health, 800 damage from that black belt on the first swing, so...
Yeah, but 1,800 on the second hit. Bye-bye.
And Cinema Bee is making a really smart play to go into Ice Cave and dig out that incentive chest, so then you know how many loose items you're gonna need.
Yep. And it turns out the answer is 0.
Well, he still has to go to Mirage, but so he knows that he'll only need that one.
Ah, fair. True. Forgot about that one.
But the grind and having only the one loose incentive that Gregley dug out of Mirage 1 early has opened up quite an advantage for him, as he's going to be able to just walk right through the Sea Shrine, as well as Volcano and Earth, and not have to stop to check any chests that he doesn't want to that are out of the way.
Oof, 1,000 damage unbuffed. Wow. Though, do still have to be careful of these sharks. They do have trance, and ribbons don't really care much about trance, so... Well, Greg Puff is checking checking one of them.
Wow, not even gonna check Sharknado Room, so he's really in go mode.
Cinema Bee finding that opal armor. Definitely happy to see that. So while we have this little bit of a lull while we wait for Gregory Puff to turn Kraken into sushi, give our runners a follow. They're putting themselves out there for our entertainment. Also, we got myself, we got Darren Dries, the Speed Gaming crew in general, and our tracker Zodecahedron. So without everyone behind the scenes, we wouldn't be able to put on this show for all of you wonderful people.
Yeah, and if you're looking to get into the Final Fantasy Randomizer, check out our Discord. Gregory helps to run our Duckling program and does a really good job of helping to teach people how to play the randomizer, and Cinema Bee is actually one of the Ducklings, so definite experience level difference between these two, but Cinema Bee is putting on a really good show, and in a month and a half or so, there will be another Duckling Derby, and it'll be fun to watch.
So Kraken had a decent amount of absorb, only hit for 685, but it was enough for a one-shot kill. So Kraken might give Cinema Bee a bit of trouble once he gets there. Yeah, one person mentioning in chat had Death Touch imps in their first seed. Don't be too put off if your first seed ends up being something really nasty. Trust me, we've all been there.
Yes, the dumpster fire seeds can make it really nice when you find nuke first level your next seed. You feel really powerful after that.
And given the list of options is as long as your arm, you don't necessarily have to use the same flags that we're seeing here. You can customize the flags to suit whatever interests you might have. You could have everything incentivized. You could have nothing incentivized. You could have 4 forced party members of whatever, of anything and everything, or nothing. So, heck, even if you don't want to play it randomized, there's enough quality of life improvements that after playing it that way, you'll probably never play it straight vanilla ever again.
Yeah, and on the Discord, there is even a vanilla-ish leaderboard for using it with vanilla settings and just the speed improvements and some of the spell fixes and weapon fixes, and just to see how fast you can go through in a vanilla environment, but at a sped-up pace.
And there was the vampire there's like the red mage was like was telling the black belt, hold on, I got this.
Oh, is that why Gregory stopped? I blinked for a second and thought maybe his screen just froze for us.
Just wait for the time where that vampire does something nasty. He'll earn his respect at one of these days. And one flurry of punches, and down goes Lich.
Yeah, that was pretty quick, and his fighter and thief are up to level 15 already, so they're at least gonna have some respectable hit points going into the Temple of Fiends once Griggly gets through this volcano.
Yeah, but considering that he's likely not going to be class changing now, really all the thief and the fighter will pretty much just be good for running and a meat shield, respectively.
Cinema Bee went and picked up the loot, so they have found all the incentivized items. They're still looking for that Oxyel, but it's really not too far out of the way, and if they decide to jump over to Mirage right away, they'll know that they're in go mode pretty quickly. Really, Cinema Bee hasn't done a bad job of routing, has made pretty quick work, just a couple of small choices that Gregory made put him in a pretty big lead here.
Yeah, I don't know if it was serendipitous that he ended up being two-man with the black belt and red mage at one point, but he took it, ran with it, and mostly thanks to that fighter tile was able to make the most of it. And Cinema Bee is going into Mirage first, and we'll get the good news.
Yeah, I believe that Oxyel was in that center chest of the three down in the middle there, so gonna find it really quick. Oh, there it was, right on the right side.
And there's our ribbon, too. The only ribbon we've seen, I think. And I blinked, and Gregory Puff is done in Volcano. Alright, at about an hour and 25 minutes, Gregory Puff has entered the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Yeah, and not messing around at all. These runners can't see where their opponent is, so you never know if you're ahead or behind, and Gregory knows that these seeds can go pretty quickly, especially if you find that Oxyel early.
Yeah. And goodness knows, for a lot of runners, the moment the slightest thing goes bad, you're going to assume you're behind. Because whatever bad thing you saw, you're thinking my opponent might not have seen that bad thing. Unless you're me, in which case I'll assume I'm behind just as a matter of course. But anyway.
I fully understand that feeling.
And on these one enemy encounters, every little bit of experience helps. Although these Earths are still hitting pretty hard, and they don't have that many Cure 4s. I mean, they had, what, 8 Cure 4 charges, but that's gotta last you all of Topher.
Yeah, that's always the joy or the scariest part of Topher is the resource management as you're going through. Especially if Kraken 2 or Tiamat 2 are tough, you can spend a lot of resources on them and not have as much for Chaos as you like.
Alright, here's Lich 2. And there goes Lich 2. And one thing that's mentioned in chat is the one possible flag in this randomizer is shuffling, because we have a number of different flags regarding our wonderful robot that we always love to see, which Cinema B is on that particular floor right now. There's keeping Warmech in his kind of vanilla spot in the encounter table, which he is here. You can make it so he's required, so he's there's a robot sprite standing in front of Tiamat's door, and you have to fight him. You can have him be a roaming sprite on the Sky 4, the maze. And then there's the last option, unleashing Warmech into the entire world, which I believe puts him in every encounter table somewhere.
Yeah, it gives you a chance to run into him anywhere in the world. And as we're talking about Warmech, Cinema B could find Warmech right here on the Bridge of Destiny, as Grigglypuff is going to pull Kraken 2.
And I was so distracted by myself that I didn't even see Carry 2, but it must not have been much.
Yeah, Carry 2 was there about as long as the vampire.
Getting a bit more respect for Kraken 2. Fasting up the black belt. Ooh, only 8 hits for... Oh. I think it might have been a misclick. I think the fast might have gone on the fighter by accident.
Yeah, I think you're right. And that hit on his red mage could be pretty punishing, because that's your fast caster. He didn't promote that thief, so now the thief is just going to be there to take some extra hits away from the black belt.
Yeah, he's basically there for the run chance at this point. And Cinema B takes down Tiamat 1.
Yep, goes and puts that thief in the top spot. The top spot has a 50% chance of getting hit, and typically the bottom spot would have about a 12.5% chance of getting hit. 3 hits for 3 damage. Oh, that was off the thief. I thought that was the black belt. 1,100 damage out of that black belt. So Tiamat 2 shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah. And, well, survives 2 hits. Doesn't survive the 3rd, though, and it's pretty clear that the thief does not have Masa on. But does now. It'll be funny if that thief gets the kill shot.
Yeah, that would pretty much make my day, because everybody disrespects their thieves.
But at this point, it's whole day and pray. Hope you can hit, and hope Chaos doesn't hit too hard back.
Zap coming out.
Okay. And yep, the thief did get the kill shot. Grigglypuff takes it, finishing in first place with an official SRL time of 1:31.48. GG.
All right, and we do have Greggly Puff joining us here in the booth for an interview. Greggly Puff, how are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. You really demolished these Chaos Flags.
Yeah, I really lucked out that the other two loose weren't required. That's just basically what it boiled down to. Doing the chime check early, getting that early first loose item in the Oxyale was really nice. But other than that, I was just trying to clear up any sort of key item check. And like I said, luckily, Power Bonk and Thor's Hammer was just kind of out there in the ether.
Yep, and Cinema B lucked out in finding the Oxyale first as well, so we likely won't be seeing where those were.
Nice.
So, first question, just from what just happened. That thief had to steal all the glory, didn't he? The thing is, I kind of called it too, leading up. I thought I even said it would be funny if the thief got the kill shot.
Yeah.
Would have been even funnier if you did it without the massa.
I just I made a bad input there because I put my fighter in the front slot, but then just kind of automatically went fast and threw the fast on the fighter. And then when he died, I got kind of concerned. I was like, oh no, that was just the fighter I put in the front slot. It's fine, it's all good. And then of course my red mage went down right afterwards, and I was like, well, my level 17 thief is going to make things happen with this massa and a bunch of gear.
And we just found our second ribbon in Sharknado room.
Ooh, I totally just bypassed that. I was like, who needs a second ribbon? I don't need that.
And Cinema B just checked one chest in that room, found the ribbon, and he's gone. It's like, I've got Massa, I've got Katana. What else do I need?
Yeah, exactly. What do you really need?
So, Greggly, with that win, you're going to be in the last chance qualifier. How does that, are you looking forward to that? Is that a little scary, or what's your thoughts on the last chance qualifier?
I mean, it is what it is. It's a race of 20-ish people, and only the top slot will move on to the play-in race. So, for me, I'm just going to show up and just try to have a good time with it, like I did tonight. Just do my thing and hope for the best. If I win, that's great. If I don't, then I can focus more on my duckling program and the duckling derby that's coming up in about 9 or 10 weeks, somewhere in that general area. So I'm excited. I hope I win. I hope I can get to pull the SVJ from last year, but I'm trying to be realistic here.
Yeah, and with you being the duckling boss, have you been watching a lot of those ducklings and their showings in this tournament here?
Oh, absolutely, I have. I mean, I'm proud of anybody that has made it where they have. I mean, earlier today, Min took down Ragnarok, and he's 4-2 now, which that's amazing. I mean, I know Min's been around a long time, but doesn't really practice a lot. And, I'm not supposed to give away those kind of spoilers. Whoopsie. Anyways, Min doing great. Ragnarok, of course, doing great. Of course, yourself, Darren Dries, you've been playing a lot as well. Jazz Raptor, all you new players have been showing up and doing really well in the spring tournament. I've been really excited watching you guys play.
Yeah, and anybody who's out there, as Cinema Beat takes out Kraken for the first time and just making pretty decent work. Hour 36, he's got 3 orbs lit. And he found that Oxyale just a little while ago, so really not doing a bad job, but you showed off your big brain there early and went to Mirage right away.
Yeah, it's a typical play for me. I always feel like if I find the chime somewhere, even a vendor item, if you see a chime early, there's something that the seed's telling you. And for me, I know it's kind of a crazy play to go into Mirage early without the cube, but 18 chests in there, and they're not hard to get to. You go right in, there's the 8 on the first floor, and then there's 10 on the second floor. That's almost as many as in all of Earth. And it's definitely more than Martian, it's definitely more than Ice. So to me, it's not a bad play.
And honestly, I don't even think finding the Oxyale first, I don't think that was really what put you ahead. It was that fighter tile.
Oh, the fighter tile was amazing. Oh, the second I found it and realized I could just take them out in like one go, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I gotta get rid of my red mage and do things.
Yeah, and I know I've talked to you a bit about just the different spike tiles that are out there, and Double Fighter is always one of your favorites to find. So, anybody that's looking for advice on how to run a black belt, throw some questions up in that Duckling chat or in the general chat on the Discord, and we can help you find what you want to learn and help you learn this great randomizer with all the different options that are out there. Any other thoughts you've had about this tournament so far, Gregory? I know you've had quite a few ups and downs as you've been going through, and quite a few different ends of the spectrum from your races so far.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of the seeds that actually kind of went more in my favor. Obviously, I had some issues with certain races. Cyranus beat me just straight up on our draft. Did a much better 2-man with the black belt red mage, where I tried to do a grind on Sarias, and then of course completely whiffed on a room in Earth Cave. After finding a first loose, I would never imagine that the second loose would happen to be in the exact same room in Earth Cave. Well, not same room, but same floor of Earth Cave. So I just completely just moved past that. And then I had some technical issues in my match against Salty Fry that cost me. And then Dangwu and I had quite a barn burner with our 3 white mages and thief. So, I'm glad that I'm where I am. 3-3. I'm just happy to make the last chance qualifier after all I've been through. Like you said, ups and downs. Did really well in my match against Darkmoon and barely squeaked out a win against Fort Reynolds. So, overall, I'm just like I said, just very excited to get into the last chance qualifier and see what I can do. Worst case, I just move on and continue focusing more on the Duckling Derby, or I can continue on to the last chance qualifier and do my SVJ number and maybe make it into the brackets.
Yeah. I mean, and it's been fun to watch this tournament. You've seen a lot of ups and downs. I was really excited to see you guys drafting when I got into the SRL room tonight, because it's always fun to see what people have to do when they find out what their party is going to be about a half an hour before they start racing. So you can't have a solid plan in your mind of what you want to do with those fighters until you know what they are.
Yeah, I mean, at first I was very hesitant on the idea of drafting because I just figured people would, just kind of stay in their own comfort zone. But the drafts have been very interesting. I've watched a good, a majority of these races, and to watch people draft, it's pretty wild just what people will do. I feel like, it definitely takes people out of their comfort zone. I mean, no one in their right mind would run a fighter, thief, black belt, red mage comp that way.
Yeah, on that note, when you saw that the early level magic didn't really have much to speak of, were you getting a little worried?
Oh, absolutely. That magic was no bueno. I think, I saw the fade, and I was like, man, I'm not sure I'm going to do class change at all because I know I'm going to run black belts. So, and then of course Fast and Temper ended up on the same level. I was like, perfect. This is everything I need to see right now. No warp, no exit, no life 2. Like no nuke, no fade, no heal spells except for Cure 4, and Fast and Temper are on the same level. What are the odds?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe after finishing off your black belt grind, maybe class change just so you can get some spell levels on the ninja for more Fast and Temper or something. But not that you really needed it at that point, but it's just a thought that I might have had.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why I obviously didn't do that was because it's just, you don't really need the Tempers and Fast when you can just way through everything.
And at an hour and 41 minutes, Cinema B making his way into the Temple of Fiends. Really good to see Cinema B finishing this seed out. He was a little bit behind coming in and knew that Greggly Puff had already finished, but wanted to go ahead and finish it out, which is a great move. You learn a lot from finishing out these seeds, and you can always watch it back and see where your differences were. So I'm glad to see Cinema B going through and fighting his way through.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see him as well, trying to make his way through the rest of this. I'm interested in how he'll handle these fiends coming up here, but go on, Ed.
Yeah, it's like I still say it wasn't that Cinema B did anything wrong per se. It was just that you found yourself on 2-man, whether it was serendipitous or not. You just find yourself with the black belt and red mage alive after something or other, and then you just ran with it, and you just tore your way through pretty much the whole seed after that.
Yeah, the mass really helps you out there. Like when you find the massa, it makes that whole idea of doing a 2-man really easy. My idea was to get rid of the fighter initially anyway, and then run with the thief to get me away from battles, and then see what I could do with the red mage and the black mage to get them levels. Once I found the massa, I was like, I don't really need my thief anymore. I can go on ahead and just stand everybody off and run 2-man.
And yeah, those unrunnable red ankylos. Until you saw how much health they actually had, how concerned were you when you saw them?
When I first saw them, I was like, oh, seriously? These things? And then I hit the first one for like 148 and it killed them, and I was like, oh. And then the next one like hit me for like 43 damage, and I was like, really? I was like, okay. These got to be the squishiest red anklos I've ever seen in the history of the game.
And
look at Glitch too.
Yeah, it looked like, I guess you're kind of burning encounters or something, but you were in that area from around like the Ordeals landing point to just like southwest of Mirage. It looked like you might have been contemplating just taking a grind on the red ankylos, but decided against it.
No, I mean the idea of that. I was checking all the encounter tables around there because there's 4 different ones that surround the Mirage area, and I was just kind of landing my airship in those 4 different areas that the T-Rex could possibly be in, and I thought maybe if I saw a T-Rex or something really good off the hard reset, that I could maybe do a cheeky overworld grind, even though the first encounter was quite a few steps off of the hard reset.
Cinema B taking on Carry 2. Now on yours, I think it was 1 punch and Carry 2 was dead. So a little bit interesting to see just how much health Carry has here. That Ninja and Fighter have both gotten some swings in here, and 695 from that Fighter or that Knight, and Carry's still standing.
And Carry 2 is down. And ooh, hello, unrunnable sea trolls and lobsters.
Yeah, I figured this battle was gonna pop up here when I saw it in Sea Shrine. I was like, unrunnables.
Yeah, so there was a lot of stuff, a lot of chests that we just didn't see. Like most of Earth, we never saw. Pretty much, virtually all of Sea Shrine. Neither of you really dived Marsh, though. Cinema B thought about it briefly, but then decided to go elsewhere. Outside of Mirage 1, I don't think we saw anything checked there in Sky. This is just the one loose, and it was off to the races.
Cinema Bee pulling. Kraken 2 gonna go ahead
wow.
and swing. Oh, Kraken is hitting like a truck as usual.
Yeah, precision strike, knocking the knight down to 11 health. But the ninja is able to finish it off with the katana.
Yeah, it really makes life interesting when you have to go under the Temple of Fiends without any life spells. Cinema did go to Provoca and pick up Bruise and Invis 2 for that knight to get a little bit more evasion available, so that was a really good move before going into a Temple of Fiends without any life magic available.
Especially, we never did see the defense sword either, so that's pretty much our only source of evasion at this point. And both the ninja and the red wizard have fast and temper, so that's two good sources of that. Tiamat's leading off with Ice 3.
Yeah, that's a good move to get your fighter built up really quick with both of those spellcasters. Throwing out 700 some health or damage there. Not too bad on a round on Tiamat. Shouldn't be too long.
Probably one more round, I think. Yep, there we go. It's kind of hard to gauge your experience when the first time gauge the Fiend's health when the first time we saw him go around, he was like one punch, 1800 damage, dead.
Yeah, I think from Greg Lee's stream we saw somewhere between 800 and 2600 health on Tiamat 2, so that doesn't help very much.
Yeah, Tiamat definitely rolled high, at least.
And I like Cinema Bee healing everybody up there. There's quite a few encounters you can find after Tiamat 2 that'll hit you pretty hard. These worms, nightmares, and evil men, and there's always the iron gulls that crop up there, and they can damage you if you're not ready for them.
The vampires are pretty scary too.
Cinema Bee doing a well-deserved victory lap here. Really only an hour and 50 minutes into this seed. For Chaos Week, it could be a really long seed, so not bad routing, not bad time. Just happened to run into a race with Gregory Puff when he could get his black belt to 42 before the 45-minute mark.
Got the fast off right away. 10 hits for 421. Just firing off our last tempers. No reason to save them. Chaos leads off with Ice 2. Ooh, 1262. Chaos is still up. And there we go. Cinema Bee finishing in second place with an official SRL time of 1:50:51. GG.
GG's, of course.
Yeah, and it looks like Cinema Bee will be coming in to join us in just a second here. I'll make sure he gets the invite into the booth.
Awesome.
All right, and we are joined by Cinema Bee. Cinema Bee, good game. That was, a well-run seed. You just happened to run into Gregory Puff doing black belt things on a black belt seed.
Yeah. I figured I was probably a little messed because I'm not very practiced with the black belt strats, and I was just like, well, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I was hoping to get under 2 hours. I got that, so I'm happy with how I ran the seed. It was hard getting traction off the ground with no good low-level sweepers, and it seemed like there were just nasty enemies all the early places. You couldn't really get easy levels. But yeah, I felt like I pushed it pretty hard and got a good time on it, but definitely a little out of my league with the competition today.
It's always tough when you get the floater and the canoe that early too, because you have the entire world open to you, and you were about 12, 15 minutes in, so you hadn't really been able to check a whole lot. So it's a lot of quick decisions you have to make real early.
It's definitely true. It's getting that early floater is kind of a mixed blessing because it does open up the world for you, but then you just have too many options. It's like most seeds you have a couple places you can go and you kind of figure, well, what's my level? What do I feel comfortable with? But then you get the floater right off the bat and you're just like floater and canoe, and it's just like, where do I go now? What do I do?
Also, how did you feel about literally getting trolled on your way out of that waterfall?
Oh. That was really funny because it's like I was at a level where you're normally not worried about anything on the overworld, but it was just like, wait, what? These have stone or insta death too? Yeah, that was pretty funny. I was annoyed at the time, but I was like, this is gonna be funny when I rewatch the stream.
Yeah, it didn't help that the Mudgalls had Glance as well.
Oh, I know.
Then you leave and the trolls had Brack. It's like, oh, geez, really? These two?
Yeah. I was just like, oh, man. Can you, not stone or insta-kill everyone in my party? I'm just trying to limp back to town at the moment.
I'm curious if you had kind of a chuckle when you're in the volcano in the armory floor. You took on that red Ankylo tile, and then you found the masa afterwards.
Right. Yeah, I was actually I almost reset out of that because I'm like, there's no way I can take down 3 red Ankylos with this level and this equipment. And I was like, just try it. And they must have rolled really low on hit points because all I was using was a mage staff on them, and I still got out of that fight.
Yeah, I almost did the exact same fight when I saw it. I thought about it and I was like, oh, I got Quad X and a Massa. Maybe something can happen. And then I hit the first one for 148 and I was like, oh, you guys have no health.
Right. See, what happened to me is because I circled the other way around the armory. So to begin with, I cleared out all the right side chests. So when I got to the actual armory, I was almost out of magic charges on my red mage. So I only had 1 fire 2 left or something. So I was like, oh man. And I hadn't picked up the masa yet because the way I routed the room, the masa was on the tail end of that trap tile. And so I was just like, and then they took out my fighter on the first turn. And I'm like, all I can do really is use a mage staff against these. Maybe it'll work. But I got out of it alive and because I'd picked up about 4 levels fighting mobs through that floor. I was like, just let me get out of this alive. just let me limp out of the volcano with this.
And the really funny thing is, after that encounter, Gregory Puff never even checked that chest. And
you checked it?
No, you took the account, you took the fight, and then you walked away. I think that's it. The chest, I think, ended up having pocket change or something. So
yeah, it wasn't anything crucial, but I don't remember what it was off the top of my head. But I've totally done that before too.
That's hilarious that I got so tilted by the fact that I saw a bunch of red Ankylos that I just didn't even check the chest.
But yeah, that was. I'll have to go back and watch see what Gregley did with the black belt because I knew that was an option, but I'm just like, it's not something I've experimented a lot with. And when I ended up with all this different equipment for the fighter and had fast and temper for the ninja, I ended up just class promoting, and then I ended up danning the black belt just because I wasn't sure what to do or where to go, and I had equipment and I was rolling. So got through Topher on the first sweep though.
Yeah, I mean, it just basically boils down to finding a spike tile that works out for you. And these particular flags, you don't know if you're sorry, you don't know if you're going to find that particular spike tile.
Totally, yeah.
You know, because of the shuffled tiles, you don't know if you're going to find anything good. Luckily, I found fighters in locked toph.
I found those too. That would have been a good idea. Yeah, good call.
They had
good
like
call.
no health. I think they had like under 200 health. So,
yeah, no, that would have been a good. So you just solo grinded up to what, like 32 or something?
42.
Oh, 42. Oh, I don't think
you.
you would have needed 42 based on how Topher went for me.
I don't know, but I just go on ahead and just grind because that's what you do.
I hear you.
And I find it interesting. You both were kind of checking for trap tiles earlier. Like, you both checked the Hall of Giants. Cinema B actually saw both the tiles in.
Yeah, what was after Ghost?
Oh, it was something awful.
It was like Spectres and Geist.
Yeah, Spectres and Geist. Yeah, like nothing you wanted to see for grinding. It was not awful and like it was dangerous, just awful for grinding. But yeah, because that was at that point, I was just desperately looking for something. Like I would have been happy to see like a giant tile at that point just to get a few levels in. But I eventually, going through Volcano, got some levels up, and then I was able to push through ordeals, and then I was fine, because I was like hitting 14, 15, and that's where things kind of flip in this game, in my experience, is you start getting up into like 13 to 15, and all of a sudden you're kind of like, depending on your gear, you can pretty much full clear everything in the game, if you've got decent gear at that point, so...
Yeah, I mean, my whole thing with the 2-man is that I would only need one ribbon. I would only, with the black belt, I would only need one ribbon. I would only need one pro ring. I would only need the opal bracelet if I found it, which I did. And
yeah, me too.
For me, it just kind of makes sense. And like you said, once you get to the point where you're in go mode, you don't get so concerned. Oh, do I have enough gear to get through Topher? I got a black belt that's 42 that can punch everything down and has an MDef close to 200. It's like.
Yeah, it's like, and then I was able, because when I finally got to the Mirage Tower and I picked up the Oxyel there was a ribbon right by that, which was my first. And then, and at that point, like, that was probably when you were in Topher, because that's when I hit go mode. I think I had the 2 orbs. I think maybe I was heading into water when you did dot done, because I had 2 orbs when you hit dot done, and I was in go mode.
Yeah, when I checked the stream, you had just gotten your second ribbon out of Sharknado.
Yeah, that was like one of that. I think that was basically the only chest I checked on that floor. I was like, yes, 2 ribbons. That
was the only chest we saw from either of you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny.
With 2 ribbons, I was pretty solid because I was like, push come to shove, I can put the ribbon on the knight. He can get cure 4, and he can just kind of bully his way through. Although I never ended up finding like the power bonk or the defense sword or anything. So it was kind of dicey going through Topher. If I'd gotten like, depending on how the fiends had landed, it could have been really brutal.
I assume you never found either of the other 2 loose outside of the Oxyel?
No, I did not.
Yeah, we never saw the Power Gauntlet or the Thor Hammer, and thus that was our other 2 loose.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that it was like the Power Bonk and the Thor Hammer, and I was definitely not looking for...
They could have been anywhere.
They literally could have been anywhere, yep.
And we were all... And at the time, Greggly Puff was heading for the Lefane turn-in, because at that point, it was down to loose, Power Bonk, and Thor Hammer. Is like, if the loot's not here... Ooh,
be prepared to dig and dig.
I was prepared. There have been so many of these situations where it's been a 67% chance that I'd get the loot, and the loot ends up being freaking loose. And so the fact that it was like a 33% chance and it ended up actually being the loot, I was like, this is going to be a sub 2 hour. I'm not going to have to dig out all the chests in the history of the game.
So just a question, if the loot wasn't there, where would you have gone first?
Probably Mirage and Sky, because I was right there.
Yeah, because I did the Lefane turn-in right before I went to Mirage and Sky, so that was my logic, is I'll go do Lefane, and then I'll do Sky, because it'll be right there. If it hadn't been Loose and Sky, I probably would have full cleared Sea after that, and then full cleared Earth, and then started hitting like Marsh and things, because I cleared Fire and Ice full before I got up there. So yeah, that would probably have been the order I would have done things in. Sky, sea, earth, marsh.
All right. Well, that was a really good race from both of you. I think we're gonna start wrapping it up here. And Cinema B, you finish out 2-4 for the spring tournament. How are you feeling about your spring tournament? Did you have a lot of fun? And are you? I don't remember if you're still gonna be in the Duck Derby coming up, or are you
Yeah,
looking
I'm gonna
forward to
play in
that,
the
or-
Duck Derby coming up for sure.
Yeah,
I played in not the most recent Duck Derby, but the one before that, back in fall of last year. So definitely be playing in the next Duckling Derby. This just kind of like the spring tournament sign up just kind of landed, like, and I was like, oh, I should just sign up for that. And I'm really stoked. Actually, my goal was to get 2 wins because I actually hadn't practiced at all this year up until my first match of the spring tournament. So getting a couple wins out of it, I feel very good about that. Just gonna keep playing, and I have a lot of fun running these seeds with everyone. So I had a blast during the tournament. Definitely would do it again. Definitely jumping in the Duckling Derby next time that rolls around. And had a great time. So thanks everyone for putting this on. And I know there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to get everything set up and rolling. And I just appreciate all the energy that everyone put into organizing this, because I've had an absolute blast.
Excellent, yeah, and great job all tournament, Cinema B. Really nice to hear that you got your goal at 2 wins, and you did a really good job throughout the entire tournament. So I'll be excited
thank
to
you.
see you in the Duckling Derby. I'm really excited. There's going to be a lot of great ducklings coming up through that. And
Yeah,
Gregley, you're
definitely.
going to be Gregley's moving on to the last chance qualifier. So
I
any
know.
final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, if I do well in the qualifier, that's great. I'm super stoked about it. If I win, then I get to go to the playing race, and that's whatever. Maybe I'll be one of the top 8 or 9 people that make it in brackets. If I don't, whatever, that's fine. Like I said, I'm more interested in focusing on that Duckling Derby that you guys were talking about before. So anybody that's out there that's still watching, even though we've been interviewing for a while now, join the Discord if you're a newer player. Join up. There's a Duckling program. We have all sorts of resources and links. We do Duckling Weeklies, which are basically kind of easier flags for newer players. And it's just there to kind of teach people how the randomizer is, because the game is not intuitive. Even though you would think, oh, wow, it's whatever. Final Fantasy 1 is not an intuitive game. So, there's a lot to learn in order to be really good. And we're just here to teach people how to get better at the game. Hopefully I do well tomorrow, or, whenever the last chance qualifier is sometime next week. And, and that's it. But if I don't, then that's fine as well. I'm just happy that I got to perform. I'm happy that Aaron Dries and, of course, Melee Wizard did the comms tonight. And then, of course, one of the newer people was doing tracking, correct?
Yeah, Zodecahedron came in, and it's his second night tracking. He did his first race yesterday and decided to come back and do some more. So anyone who's interested, if you want to learn, being on a race crew can teach you the randomizer really well as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a very easy way to learn the randomizer. But yeah, I'm looking at his notes right now, and wow, great notes by them. So, and I appreciate Speed Gaming 6 for having us. And make sure you watch the next races. I think there's another race happening in about 30 minutes on. Let's check out the schedule here.
It'll be on Speed Game 2, actually.
Yeah, Speed Gaming 2. It's between Zenobian and One Fine Day, a couple of 4-1s. So stakes are high, as they say.
Yeah, that's for sure. And Melee Wizard, thank you so much for jumping in. This race got started a little bit late due to scheduling issues, and you were willing. We put out a question for someone to jump in, and within a minute, Melee Wizard said, "Yep, I can do it, and I'll be there in a little bit." So thanks for coming in. Any final thoughts on this race?
It's interesting seeing a run, because a lot of the times we see your typical like rainbow, red, white, black mage in some configuration. It's neat seeing a party configuration where you only have one mage particularly a red mage, and you're just kind of hoping that the magic kind of shakes out in a way that's agreeable, especially for the early game. So it's always interesting seeing kind of letting fate dictate kind of what you're able to do in the early game.
All right, excellent. And as we said throughout, if you're interested in learning this randomizer, come on out to the Discord, join up. You don't even have to race if you don't want to. There's a lot of people who just like to play it casually, and we'll help you get through those first seeds, find all the items that you might have missed, and a lot of times that vendor item gets lost somewhere in the shuffle. But come on out. And I mean, we have stories of people forgetting dungeons, forgetting to talk to the pirates, forgetting to check that chest right next to the red ankylos, and then it ends up being a loose loot and all those sort of things. But come on out. There's more spring tournament action happening throughout the week. There's a ton of races tomorrow, a ton of races on Friday and throughout the weekend. But as we said, Speed Gaming 2 is going to have more FFR action in about a half an hour, and the rest of the Speed Gaming channels are going to be busy as well if you want to check out some other speed games as well. But thank you all for coming out tonight, and we hope you all have a great one.